Hey guys, welcome back. So with all the Final Fantasy XII lore that I've covered thus far, from the story of Rex to the mysteries of the Quickenings, today I felt that I would dig into some rather peculiar lore that, though the game does touch on, I think that the true origins of such an event were never fully explained to the audience, and that event is how Vayne Solidor orchestrated King Raminas' assassination. Now I can somewhat understand why some people might want to see this video because Final Fantasy XII really does leave a lot to be interpreted, since a lot of its lore tends to be shrouded in mystery. The bits of information we know of this conspiracy is when Marquis Ondor mentions the peace treaty within his journal at the beginning of the game, when Rex finds King Raminas already assassinated, and when Gabranth informs the party of his actions at the Pharos of Redoriana. However, within a narrative of what we may already know, the conspiracy behind King Raminas' death was barely touched on, giving us little information on how it was actually formed and devised. So with that said, I wanted to investigate into one of Ivalice's most horrifying pieces of lore, and get down to what actually happened after Archadia sieged control over Nalbina and forced Dalmasca into an unconditional surrender. During the time before the Gautian Alliance, Archadia, though a small kingdom, prospered during the times of peace and grew to be one of Ivalice's mightiest republic states. Though ruled by a cadre of senators, the might of its military turned Archadia into an empire of power. However, Archadia formed together a force within by selecting those who were most active within its military, to be given the highest authority and title known as Emperor. With this, it was when House Solidor took over that things began to change, and to ensure their rule was absolute, a new law was created that benefited their strength known as the Judge System. With this newfound system and increased strength, Archadia began expanding further into smaller nations, grasping their lands and ruling over them with the same level of laws as their capital. When Rosaria learned of Arcadia's unethical actions, they obviously didn't agree, and so hostilities ensued between the empires, thus placing both kingdoms of Dalmasca and Archadia within the political tensions of the empires. However, in the background, Arcadia's leading magicite researcher, Sadolphus Bonanza, traveled to Yacht Defo where he stumbled across the ancient city of Gidavegan and the Archadia known as Vayne. It was here where Vayne explained to Sid of who the Archadia were, their tensions over Ivalice, and the 3 shards of day-affected nethicite that was given to King Wraithwall. Though the Archadia had their own philosophy, Vayne disagreed and wanted to instate its own dynast king to undermine their influence over Ivalice. So to elucidate the matter at hand, Vayne came back to Arcades with Sid, guiding him on how to manufacture man-made nethicite, and with this newfound power, bolstered the empire significantly. It was sometime around the year of 700 OV when Vayne gave aid to both Sid and Vayne and began conspiring with them to put the reins of history back in the hands of man, and with it concocted the invasions of both Archadia and Dalmasca in order to gain the Dusk Shard and the Midlight Shard. However, Vayne enacted on the first stages of his plan from the uprising of the Neo-Rosaria faction, which resided in Archadia, and with it used it as a pretext for invasion with the excuse of restoring peace and order to the country. As the war against the Arcadian Empire ensued, and with the fall of the fortress at Nalbina by the hands of the Arcadian Empire, the destruction caused the greater part of Dalmasca's forces to sustain significant losses, as their defeat was to be absolute. Soon thereafter, Archadia came forward offering terms of peace, or, as one might rather put it, terms of Dalmasca's surrender, which was proposed by Emperor Gramis. King Raminas had no choice but to accept the terms given, and thus only with reluctance that he set out for Nalbina Fortress to affix his seal to the Emperor's Treaty of Peace. It wasn't long before King Raminas reached the fortress where Imperial soldiers possibly greeted him, and then escorted him to his bedchambers to rest before the signing of the treaty commenced. It was here, however, where things were about to turn for the worst. While Emperor Gramis was supposed to oversee the signing of the treaty, his son Vayne went in his place instead, and with it called forth Judge Gabranth to discuss the actions that were quite unethical. When Gabranth appeared before Vayne, Vayne discussed in having the signing ceremony that night, and with it to place his plan in motion, stating that if His Majesty Raminas were to die from an unfortunate event, their conversation would be irrelevant, meaning that an assassination would be the perfect placement. Unsure of how such a ploy could happen under Archadia, Gabranth questioned on how the plan would be possible if Archadia enacted into something so immoral, without the repercussions from the Senate. Well, it seemed that Vayne already had that figured out. Without getting Arcadia's hands dirty, Vayne proposed on having the assassination done by a foreign country, and with it to spread information to the Dalmascan military about assassins moving in on their king at Nalbina, thus bringing their key scapegoat into the light, which was Dalmasca's very own Captain Bosch von Ronsenberg, which both Vayne and especially Gabranth knew very well. Using Bosch to take the king, however, would destroy the peace proposal, claiming it as a last resort, a last having Dalmascan soldiers witnessing the murder, giving Arcadia what they needed to begin their invasion once again, thus branding Bosch as a traitor and causing Dalmasca to fall. With their plans coming into fruition, Vayne questions on if Gabranth could get the job done, and without hesitation, Gabranth responded with, "I won't be the one doing it. They'll be seeing Bosch von Ronsenberg." And so that is how Vayne orchestrated His Majesty Raminas' assassination. And the fact that Vayne plots with Gabranth, Bosch's twin brother, to kill King Raminas and then to frame Bosch as a traitor is nothing short of genius. Still, as we all know there was much more to it, the fact that killing Raminas was the only way for Vayne to search out for the Dust Shard after becoming Consul of Rabanastre. But as we all know, our boy Vaughn, well, he kinda got to it first. So with that said, I wanted to extend my thanks for all the support you guys have given me. I know that this video has been in the making for a long time, but because of actually having an unexpected surgery about 3 weeks ago, I wasn't in the best conditions to work on this project, but now, since I'm actually feeling a lot better, videos should be back up on their regular scheduling. So without more to say, leave your comments down below and your thoughts about Vayne and his ploy against Raminas. And as always guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.